बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम। अली अल्लाह मदद फरमा, अल-वाहिदुल क़हार, अली अल्लाह मदद फरमा। अगर तू मस्त मौला है, intoxicated with love of Mawla. If you are intoxicated with love for Mawla, come, let us shed tears. If you are thinking of the resurrection, come, let us shed tears. If your heart is forgetful of Him and always in love with a false thing, then the destination is very far. Let us shed tears. O sorrowful heart, sacrifice yourself for Him and be merged in Him. Sacrifice, O sorrowful heart, sacrifice yourself for Him and be merged in Him. If this task is difficult, then let us shed tears. Resurrection comes and stops if there is callousness of the hearts. If you wish to undergo resurrection, come, let us shed tears. Resurrection comes and stops if there is callousness of the hearts. If you wish to undergo resurrection, come, let us shed tears. O the circle of 40 Darwish, where is your ardor? If we yearn for Him to be in our hearts, come, let us shed tears. O Nasir, the love for our Mawla is a wonderful, supreme paradise. Invite each of your companion, saying, come, let us shed tears. अगर तू मस्त मौला है, अगर तू मस्त मौला है, तो आजा अश्क बरसाएं। अगर तू मस्त मौला है, तुझे गर फिक्र फरदा है, तुझे गर फिक्र फरदा है, तो आजा अश्क बरसाएं। अगर तू मस्त मौला है, अगर दिल उस गाफिल है, अगर दिल उस गाफिल है, सदाए शैदाए बातिल है, सदा शैदाए बातिल है, बहुत ही दूर मंजिल है, बहुत ही दूर मंजिल है, तो आजा अश्क बरसाएं। अगर तू मस्त मौला है, दिले गमगीन फिदा हो जा, दिले गमगीन फिदा हो जा, उसी में तू फना हो जा। अगर ये काम मुश्किल हो, अगर ये काम मुश्किल हो, तो आजा अश्क बरसाएं। अगर तू मस्त मौला है, क़ियामत आके रुकती है, क़ियामत आके रुकती है, दिलों में जब कसावत है, दिलों में जब कसावत है, गुजरना हो क़ियामत से, गुजरना हो क़ियामत से, तो आजा अश्क बरसाएं। अगर तू मस्त मौला है, सदाए गिरिया ओ ज़ारी, सदाए गिरिया ओ ज़ारी, तबीबे इश्क सुनता है। अगर उसको बुलाना है, अगर अगर तू मस्त मौला है। चहल दरवेश का हल्का, चहल दरवेश का हल्का, कहाँ है तेरी दिल सोजी, कहाँ है तेरी दिल सोजी, अगर आना है इस दिल में, अगर आना है इस दिल में, तो आजा इश्क बरसाए। अगर तू मस्त मौला है, अगर तू मस्त मौला है, तो आजा इश्क बरसाए। अगर तू मस्त मौला है। नसीरा इश्क मौलाना, नसीरा इश्क मौलाना, अजब फिरदौस आला है, अजब फिरदौस आला है, बुला ले अपने हर साथी, बुला ले अपने हर साथी, के आजा इश्क बरसाए। अगर तू मस्त मौला है, अगर तू मस्त मौला है, तो आजा इश्क बरसाए। अगर तू मस्त मौला है। या मौला, Ya Mola, all of us, Mola, are your lovers, Mola. We are seekers, Mola. We are seeking you, Mola. We are standing on the first step with humility, Mola. Oh Mola Meherban, bless us. Bless us with your Ruhani and Nurani Didar, Mola, as all the ailments, all the difficulties will be removed due to your Didar, Mola. Ya Mola, we seek your love, Mola. Oh Mola, make us your true lovers, Mola. Let our heart be enlightened by divine love, Mola. Oh Mola Meherban, oh Mola Meherban, oh Mola Meherban. Let us merge with you, Mola. We seek resurrection, Mola. We seek merging with you, Mola. Ya Mola, let us be fana in you, Mola. Oh Mola Meherban, oh Mola Meherban. मुश्किल कुशा, मदद फरमा, मदद फरमा, मदद फरमा। शुक्र लिल्लाहि वल्हम्दुलिल्लाह, शुक्र लिल्लाहि वल्हम्दुलिल्लाह, अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह। Today we are going to do part 2 of our series, which we started on concept of paradise and hell, which will be followed by sins and pardon. Last week we talked about in detail about paradise. Today we will explore the concept of hell. Before we go further, let us just summarize, review what we did last time. Last time we reviewed few farmans of Sultan Muhammad Shah, where he spoke about what is paradise and what paradise is not. Then we had reviewed some Quranic verses which are listed here, and in brief we talked about that Allah has said in Quran that paradise is as big as this universe in which we live, the earth. And then he says that race towards Allah, run towards Allah, so you can get to those gardens whose width are same as your universe, but they are heavens. And those gardens are only there for righteous. Race towards forgiveness. And those who are believers, who race towards forgiveness, who are obedient, who are believers, for them Allah says that they will have everything, whatever they'll wish, it will be there in paradise, whatever they desire. And then we also talked about desire. Desire of divine love, desire of intellect, desire of spirit, and desires of nafs. Remember, when we live in this world, we do have desire of this world, which in this world we sacrifice so we can elevate ourselves to higher ranks. But those desires will be met in heavens, but not in dense form. It's all in subtle form. All the desires of mu'minins only will be fulfilled. Not a single desire will be left alone. Whatever a mu'min desires, it will be given to them. That is why a mu'min always is very thoughtful in thinking or desiring and asking what he wants. Then we also concluded, based on the Quranic verses and the Farman, that paradise actually is intellect. Paradise is intellect. And our intellect is called Aql-e Garizi, meaning the needy intellect, partial intellect, which needs assistance of universal intellect. We are incomplete, we are needy. Opposed to Aql-e Garizi, the term is Aql-e Ulvi, which is universal intellect, which is complete intellect. Those humans who are wise, they will bring themselves out of comfort zone. They will make sacrifices. They will seek wisdom. And when there is a wisdom, whatever difficulties they have in this worldly life, it doesn't mean anything to them. No pain or grief or loss touches their heart, because they are seekers of the truth. They know that this is temporary. Whereas ignorant will perish due to anxiety over any kind of loss or any difficulty. They'll be like always worried, always anxious, depressed, whatever is the test put upon them by Allah. It is through intellect one would learn that no matter whatever kind of tests are put on us, they all are temporary. They are not going to last. So the universal intellect is paradise. Wise people are close to that intellect. And those are who? Our prophets and our imams. And that's why they are the ones who give hidayat. They are the ones who teach us. Every prophet is the gate of paradise in his own cycle. In today's time, it is Imam. Obedience to our prophets and Imam, practicing Prophet's Sharia, and during this time, learning the batin of the Sharia, because we all belong to the Batini Tariqa. Understanding the batin and practicing it will help us enter the paradise. The gate will open for us. The gates are closed without. So when there's only Sharia, a person only follows Sharia without Tawil, the gates are closed. As soon as one learns the Tawil, of course you elevate your understanding, your intellect, everything goes up. And there is obedience with understanding of Tawil. Those gates open up for us. Now, let us see what is hell then. So when we talk of hell versus paradise, it is very easy to say hell is ignorance. If paradise is knowledge, then hell is ignorance. The wise do everything. Their actions are based on the knowledge of the wisdom to please God. to please the Prophet and the Imam. So they are obedient of Allah, their Prophet and Imam. And why do they do that? Because they know that they want to reach to eternal paradise, the everlasting paradise. Whereas ignorant will fail to work for their salvation. They will think of this world as real world, think of all the difficulties in this life as real difficulties, and will keep the sorrows of these difficulties of this worldly life and stay busy mentally, emotionally, psychologically, physically, trapped in this vicious circle or cycle which is going on in this world. Whereas the wise one will detach and look from far that this is what is happening, it's not real. And we actually had reached to the Ginan, but we did not review all the Ginanic verse. What does Ginan say about paradise? So this Ginanic verse says, Eji marana bhi marana yara sabko hi jana. Chint chete ne aap wakhane vanre chet jannat. Hura kya thaki pave bisaya. Please forgive me for my pronunciation. And it means everyone has to die. Oh friend, everyone knows about it. Yet they do not reflect. Do not reflect over this in their minds and are engaged in self-praising. Without being cautious and vigilant, how can one attain the paradise and the angels? So in other words, what Pir is instructing us that if you want to go to paradise, if you want to be the angels, you got to be reflecting and protecting yourself from doing bad deeds. Stay humble. Do not be self-praising person. Then in another verse, Pir says, Eji Nabi to जीव का दातार है जिन्हें कलमा सुनाया जे मोमन मान से ते बिहिश्ती होएगे बाकी गाफल भूला गे मार. O brother, the Prophet is the savior of the souls who recited the kalima. Those moments who accept it will enter paradise and the negligent will go astray. So here another criteria is being told to us that if you want to go to the paradise, you must do zikr ibadat, just like our Prophet did. So yesterday someone was asking that how do we know that our prophets and our imams also have Isme Azam, they also do bandagi, and we talked about Pagambar going to Gare Hira to do bandagi. This is another verse which says that follow the Prophet who recited the kalima. Kalima means the word, the supreme name, the Isme Azam. So we are followers of our prophets and imam who recite this kalima, who are our role models, and that's how Pir is telling us. By walking on the path of prophet and imam, he is now telling us, don't be negligent. Follow the footsteps of your imam and the prophet. Do zikr ibadat, so you can enter the paradise. In the next part, Pir says, another Ginan actually, all references are different Ginans. Eji karni eti rehni hoye ane haq ki roti khaiye. Bhai tab roja nimaj kabul hove ane bihisht mein jaye bhai. O brother, perform good deeds and eat the morsel from your lawful earnings. O brother, only then will your prayer and fasting be accepted and you will go to paradise. So here again, paying of our dason and good deeds. Our earning cannot be lawful until we have paid our dason. So dason and the good deeds will give us the entry to paradise. Then Ginan reference 4. This Ginanic verse says, Eji jannati khorda kholya ane bihisht ka kamad dana hoesi so sab samajh se ane nahi samjha so bhula gemar. O brother, the doors and the homes of paradise have been opened. Those who are wise will understand everything, And those who do not understand will go astray. Now here our peer is actually talking about samajh, intellect, understanding, knowledge of certainty. It is only through the knowledge of certainty we'll be able to identify the door, the gate, and it's being opened. We would know that. Those who are not going to pay attention, they are not going to learn through knowledge, will not know. And they will surely go astray. And then in this Ginan, Alaf Nirali Khalak Raja, all the references of the Ginan are given on the top. In this Ginanic verse, it says, Eji imam pichano to sidak durust, tusa jannat paoge thanji. Eji imam pichano to sidak durust, tusa jannat paoge thanji. If you recognize the Imam, your Iman will be sound and unshakable. Then you will attain an abode in paradise. So here our peers are talking about recognition of Imam. Without recognizing the Imam, it is not possible to enter in paradise. Now let us again go back to Quran and see what does Quran say about hell. Chapter 35 verse 36. And it says, and for those who disbelieve will be the fire of hell. And those who disbelieve will be the fire of hell. That is not decreed for them, so they may die, nor will its torment be lightened for them. Thus, do we recompense every ungrateful one? Very clearly, it says, those who are ignorant, those who do not have knowledge, they will be punished. Nor they will die, neither their torment will be lightened. But it will end. It will end. And we'll talk about it, how it will end. Another Quranic verse about hell is chapter 7 verse 179. And it interestingly talks about people who have hearts but they don't understand. They have eyes but they don't see. They have ears but they don't listen. They are like cattle. No, but they are worse than them because they are neglectful. So in other words, hell is someone behaving like an animal, neglectful, living in narrow houses of intellect. In this Quranic verse, chapter 39, verse 64, people were not listening to Prophet Muhammad and they were telling him, you do not need to believe in Allah. And this verse is actually on behalf of Prophet Muhammad to people, in which Allah is saying to Prophet, say it to them. Is it other than Allah you order me to worship, O ignorant one? Because they were not believing on Prophet. So Prophet is asking, do you want me to believe somebody else? And you being the ignorant one, do you want me to follow you? And you don't want to listen to me? So in other words, the disbelievers are actually inmates of hell because they are ignorant. They do not want to learn, they do not want to understand. Therefore, the advice for believers is befriend the wise. Now who is the wise? The wise is the Prophet in his cycle. And today it's Imam of the time. So if one disobeys Imam, does not receive knowledge, does not seek knowledge, will not reach to paradise. As knowledge is paradise. Now we had also talked about in our series of what is soul that human has a rational soul whereas animal has his instincts. As human we do have part of animal soul and vegetative soul, but on top of that we have rational soul. Animals do not have rational soul. It is only the rational soul which accepts the higher level of intellect. And prophets were sent. Our imams are here in this world as our guide to help us get attracted to higher intellect through logical reasoning to give us food for thought so we can follow their path and become obedient. Now remember, whenever we talk of obedience, being believers, being righteous, obedience is not expected from young children. It is not expected from those who are mentally, challenged or insane people. Remember that. And then Allah also talks about gates of hell. In chapter 15 verse 44, Allah talks about 7 gates of hell. And these gates are being mentioned in detail by Pir Nasir Khusro and Rumi. Rumi in his Masnavi talks about it. And he talks about these 7 animals and he gives example, saying that these humans have characteristics which resembles animals. And the first one is mice. And the characteristic of mice is to steal. So a human whose habit is to steal, it's like behaving like a mice. Peacock, very beautiful bird, very beautiful. But he's known for its vanity, being very proud on its beauty. The third is monkey. Monkey doesn't use intellect. He'll just copy whatever you are doing. Monkey see, monkey do. We have always heard that. And then rabbit sleeps 16 hours. If you give him 18, 24 hours, rabbit will choose to sleep. Then he talks about snake, who is very tempted to always take his revenge. If you hurt me, I will make sure and hurt you too. Hurt you more so you know how I felt. Then the characteristic of dog, who is known for his anger. He'll bark for no reason. If there's a dog in the backyard of somebody's house and you're passing, he'll just bark. You did not do anything to bother the dog, but he'll bark. And then the last is cockerel, who is known for its lust. So any human who has these characteristics in whatever quantity, intensity could be different in different individuals. These are characteristics of animal. A human with his rational mind will not behave like animals. There are people who have tendency of anger or different weaknesses, different flaws. As humans, we do have flaws. And that is the test upon us. Each one of us has a different kind of flaw or difficulty, a demon. But we are also blessed with intellect. And that is the test, that with intellect, how we are controlling or suppressing the carnal soul, which makes us react instinctually to behave in a way an animal would behave. Because animal has no filter or no restriction. Something happens and there'll be a reaction. A human will not react like that. He or she knows how to control, because humans are blessed with rational soul. So that is why Allah talks about the 7 gates of hell, which are elaborated by Rumi and Pir Nasir Khusro. That if any one of us is stuck in these habits, are actually inmate of hell. And very beautifully, this Quranic verse, chapter 41, verse 53 and chapter 6, verse 38, talks about how there are signs outside us and inside us to guide us to our path so we can identify the truth. And if you were to see animals or birds, they're just like you in groups, meaning that these animals and these birds are example for us from Allah to learn that we do not behave in instinctual manner. There is a clear-cut distinction between animal and human. So these are the indications or signs given to us in our environment for us to identify who we are. Why Allah has called us Ashraful Makhluqat, the best creation in the whole universe. And the reason is that we are blessed with intellect. Very interestingly, if we were to look at Maula Sultan Muhammad Shah, Arwahuna Fidahu, he talks about at Dar es Salaam, 29 September 1899. He gives the example of Maulana Rumi, in which Maulana Rumi says that he was first stone and then he came into tree and then he was ant and then animal, and then he says that I became monkey, and after that, where will I go? Oh, I'll go higher than that. I'll become an angel or go higher than that. These are all stages of human behaving in manner of mineral soul, vegetative soul and animal soul. But in reality, on top of all these three souls, we have rational soul. And the way Rumi had said, and Maula had mentioned, that he wanted to go higher than that. It is only through the rational soul that we can identify that potential in us. It is the matter of humility to say that we are mustajib. But the way one would work hard, the ranks are given to us to elevate. But it is part of humility to say we are mustajib. But Rumi, from his own example, he is saying to us that he started his journey at the level of mineral soul, stone. But then he says, I am a human who has rational soul, and I will elevate myself to an angel, go higher than that. And then Imam very clearly says that there are two groups. Two groups in who? In humans. One is of animals and second is of angel. Now when Maula says that one is of animals, none of us look like an animal. But it is our behavior, our thinking can be like an animal. Not necessarily we will become an animal. No, it is our behavior, our thinking, which is of similar to animals. And then there is a group of angels. Now, angels, we know they have wings. We think of that way, that angels have wings. There are people who have elevated themselves to ranks of angels. But we don't see anybody having angels in Jamaat Khana in our community. But there are people like angels, and I hope we all know some. They don't have wings, but they are just like us. So in same humans, there are groups of people. And Maula has said that with love and affection, we have given you birth in Satpanth religion. But sadly, Maula says, have che janam janwar na jem chalyo jai che. It does not mean, when Maula says sadly, the life is wasted like an animal. Does not mean that one becomes an animal, but spends his time, his valuable time and breath in this life as an animal. And Maula has said about it. And then Maula has clearly said that, when I give farman, I am giving you gems and jewels. Those who are intellectuals, those who are humans, they'll pick jewels. But those whose intellect is instinctual, they're like animals, they'll only be looking at grass, at this worldly life. The way we just reviewed the Quranic verse, chapter 41, verse 53, that Allah has given signs inside us and outside. It will be only the intellectuals who will pick on those signs. So if we were to compare hell versus paradise, so of course hell is ignorance, whereas paradise is knowledge. The wise do everything to please Allah, to get to that eternal paradise, whereas ignorant will fail to work for their salvation. So this is another verse, 35 by 36. If we were to look at this verse very clearly, it talks about the disbelievers will be in the fire of hell. There will be no death and the torment will not be lightened. But in reality, if you were to really review, that those who are ignorant and the people around the ignorant people will be influenced by them. So in other words, if they are ignorant, they would want people around them to stay ignorant. So they themselves are hell and in the hell. They are ignorant and they are keeping the ignorancy alive. Or by giving doubts, they are keeping this environment of doubts and ignorancy alive around them. So for them, Allah says very clearly that they will be punished. Nor they'll die, neither their torment will be lightened. But it will end. And how do we know that it will end? We know it through the hadith of Prophet Muhammad. He says, on the day of resurrection, the Prophet, God's blessings and peace be upon him and his progeny, will come and blow on the fire of hell and cool it down. In other words, in another hadith it says that he will have his shawl, blanket, and he's going to put it on the hell and all the fire will cool down. So it will end. It will end when people will realize that they have to go to the gates, and that gate is the Prophet, the Imam. So when we are talking about all these things, how does it apply to us today? We have learned that the guidance was sent to all the people in every time. There was a Prophet or Imam all the time. This world was not without Imam actually. Ignorance, who choose to be ignorant, are inhabitants of hell, whereas wise are the dwellers of paradise. Those who will disobey Imam, they will not receive the true knowledge and they will not reach the paradise. As we know that the knowledge is paradise and rational soul accepts intellect. Without rational soul, one cannot reach higher. And we as humans are all blessed with rational soul. It is totally different situation when we do not use our rational soul and continue to behave instinctually just like animals do. So in conclusion, what would we say? That humans have been given this free will and intellect. It is with their intellect they will choose to use their will in any or every direction they want. And Smiley Momin, who is a believer of Imam, every Smiley Momin, every Smiley who follows the Imam, who is the believer of Imam, is already in paradise. Is already in paradise. And in this Farman, Mawla has actually given an example of a poor man who makes sacrifices but is very happy and very peaceful. Mawla says he is in paradise. So here the point is, it's not that the person who is very educated or has all the resources will be in paradise, and the poor who do not have worldly education, who do not have resources, will be treated differently. Imam has worked hard to tell us, to make us gain this worldly education so we can study the true knowledge. But the example of Adam is in front of us, who had no worldly education as per se. But he, with his desire to seek and search, he was self-taught. And he learned the true knowledge without any degrees or any PhDs. And he merged himself with Allah. So when I say that every Smiley is already in paradise, we all are in paradise. But remember that the paradise is also in ranks. Everything is in ranks. And how do we understand this ranks part? Let us take an example of Didar Hall. We all are smileys, sitting there seeking Maula's Didar, singing Ginan, Venti. But those who have been doing sacrifices, duties, they are called Amaldaran, and they are sitting nearer to Maula than the general Jamaat. How come some are sitting on the stage and some are not sitting on the stage? Aren't we all smileys? What is the difference? The difference is that those who chose to sacrifice their time to serve, they are closer to Imam. But this is physical example. In this class, we are seekers of Batin. So this example we'll have to apply in Batin. If we all are sitting at one place, we all are in paradise because Imam is with us. But it matters who is close to Imam. The more distant you are, the further away you are from your Imam. The more knowledge and practices we have, sacrifices we make in the right direction, we are nearer to Imam. In order to get to paradise, in order to get close to our Imam, it is only the true knowledge, sharpening our intellect in a way that we get close to the universal intellect, meaning merging ourselves in Imam, so we can be next to Imam, with Imam. There's a very beautiful verse in Quran which talks about Asiya, the lady who is wife of Pharaoh, but she takes care of Moses as a mother. Her name is Asiya. She was a Momina, she was a Hujjat, and her prayers are being mentioned in Quran saying that, "Oh Allah, give me a house in paradise next to you." What a strange dua is it? But because she was getting the knowledge from the Natik, she was a follower of Musa. And she knew what she was asking. She wanted to be next to Maula Baba. So yes, we all are in paradise. But everything in religion is in ranks. We are not done with this topic. We will continue it next week. We have few minutes. We'll look into the question and then we'll continue next week. I like you for your questions. And she says that when Hazrat Ali did not open his eyes for 7 days when he was born, Prophet Muhammad said something in his ears. So what was it? And if Prophet Muhammad was such a capacity to make him open his eyes, then why it would be other way around? So I do not know what he said in his ears. I am sure some name of Allah, beautiful name of Allah, and Maula Ali was waiting for the Prophet to come and take him in his lap, and Maula Ali opens up his eyes. So when you are asking this question, I can tell you that there's a need to understand Hudud-e-Deen. In the rankings of Hudud-e-Deen, if we were to understand the rank of Natik, remember whenever we say Paigambar, there are 124,000 Paigambars, 1,24,000. But within those 124,000, there are only 6 major prophets. Those are called Natik. And Prophet Muhammad was Natik. The rank of Natik is actually higher than AZIZ. Rank of Natik is higher than AZIZ. And how is it higher? That's how the ranks of Hudud-e-Deen is. Now this may put some in difficulty because in our mind we think, and it is true, that Imam is the essence of this universe. His Noor is always been there. But when we understand the rankings of Hudud-e-Deen, we will realize that the rank of Natik is higher than the AZIZ. And that is why Maula Ali was waiting for the Prophet of the time to come and take him into his lap, so he sees him the first in this temporary world. And that's how he waited, to see the Noor of the time. Definitely, hasad is the fire of hell. So I have delivered lectures on spiritual sicknesses, and hasad is one of that, jealousy. Very truly, hasad is a very dangerous sickness. And yes, I would say hasadi people are disbelievers. You know why? I'll tell you why. If you take an example of a plant, okay, if it gets sick, if you take care of that plant, that tree in the beginning, you'll protect the whole tree. If you were not to medicate it in the right time, that whatever virus, infection, whatever it is, it will engulf the whole tree and the tree will die. Similarly, a human who has hasad in the heart, it is such a dangerous disease that it will, if not controlled, it will overpower and take all the good deeds, all the good deeds. And I'll tell you reference and you'll understand why I say it so strongly. Azazil was said by our Pir that he had read 36 crore kitaba, which is 36 million books. He was such a learned scholar man. How many books? 36 million books he had read. He was the highest ranking angel in the court of Allah. But when Adam came in, who was not very educated, a very poor man, he was not a suited booted guy, had no degrees, very simple, in fact a farmer. But when his thirst of spirituality was so strong, he self-taught himself, he learned. And when he was bestowed the Isme Azam, he worked so hard, so honestly, that he merged himself with Allah within 40 days. And Allah announced that everyone prostrate to Adam. And guess what? Azazil became hasadi. He was so jealous of Adam that how come this poor man doesn't have a proper suit on his body, doesn't have any degrees, has not read as many books I have read. How can he get this status above me? No way. What happened to Azazil? Ta Qiyamat, he is out of the court of Allah. Ta Qiyamat. So Allah protect us from hasad. It is a dangerous sickness. And remember, as every human, as a test, we have been given these sicknesses, these weaknesses. And that is why Imam Sultan Muhammad Shah, may our souls be sacrificed to this Imam, he has so beautifully has told us that Shaitan actually assesses us. What is our weakness? And then he attacks it from that direction. So he can overpower us. But a mu'min who has the weapon and the armor ready, zikr ibadat and ilm, this shaitan cannot do anything to that mu'min. He has no power over that mu'min. So alhamdulillah, this disease is curable. But yes, we got to work very hard and we can protect ourselves from these diseases. That is why the purity of our heart, the purity of our deeds is the topmost criteria. And if you remember those ginans we did, protecting our deeds is the most important, the first one. It's not that we do not do good deeds. We are all very good people. But what happens, mistakes, how it happens? Whenever there is a moment of stress, difficulty, we forget to restrain ourselves and we react. We don't restrain, but we react. When we react, because those are our weaknesses, whatever weaknesses we have. And remember, Shaitan always wants us to react. He pushes us. He gives us those negative thoughts. So we think like that. And when we start thinking, immediately he's going into our saving account, emptying it. So whatever good deeds we did, he'll take it out, everything, and he'll deposit into his account. So there's another farman of Imam Sultan Muhammad Shah. He says, if you take one step ahead and then you take 3 steps backward, then tell me, when will you reach where you are supposed to reach? And this cycle in which we are trapped, it can only be broken or identified through true knowledge. So Molly says, would you say academically uneducated but religiously farman bardar? Yes, not only farman bardar but very knowledgeable too. Remember, knowledge, one is from books. So the one who has academic knowledge and the books will have masters and PhD and whatever degrees, right? Because the learning is from the books. But there is another learning which is called ilme laduni, the direct knowledge, ta'idi knowledge, which comes into the heart. And Adam is the beautiful example in front of us. RP is actually beautiful examples for us. They were taught in their heart. They did not study as per se books. So they do have knowledge. When they speak, your heart tells you they know something. They know more than the books tell. Because I have these books too and I can read it too, but why don't I understand these things from the book? When I hear this peer, why am I able to understand things differently? What is it if it's the same book we are reading? So there is a ta'idi knowledge which is called ilme laduni. So knowledge is not only from the books, it is from directly taught by Imam in the hearts of peer. Now this question here is, would they be in the hell of fire? If they are Mu'min, they cannot be in the hell of fire. Simple as that. Shukr Ali Allah. Brahm Prakash points out the stages of the recognition of Imam. Is my understanding correct? I have not reviewed Brahm Prakash for a long time. Please forgive me. I would say I do not know. I do emphasize whenever there is a word recognition of Imam is given, and I have shared with all of you my personal journey that until we have knowledge of Ginan, Farman and Quran, the circle is not complete. Very good question, Salma. I think it is because of Salma that everybody will benefit. So Salma is saying that if Prophet Muhammad was elevated, then why did he need the bowl from AZIZ? So I would correct that question and say that why did Muhammad needed Isme Azam from Imam? I hope that we now know that Imam of the time during the birth of Prophet Muhammad was Maulana Imran, Hazrat Abu Talib, father of Maula Ali. This world cannot be without Imam. It cannot be that the Imam was born first time in this world and this world was existing and we had Prophet Adam coming in, Yusuf, Yunus, Isa, Musa, Muhammad. No, Imam has always been on this earth. This world will not last for a fraction of a second if Imam is not there. So, the Asas Imam is Maulana Ali. Maulana Ali did not give Isme Azam to Prophet Muhammad. Prophet Muhammad, when he at his young age started to do bandagi, wanted to elevate himself, his Imam of the time gave him the Isme Azam. And that Imam name is Maulana Imran, Hazrat Abu Talib, who gave him Isme Azam. So now I hope you understand that here is Abu Talib, here is Natik, and here is Asas. This is Imam and this is Imam. But because we think only this way, that Prophet is here and Imam is here, we think Maulana Ali, who is the Asas, he is the higher than Prophet. Nobody said that Asas is the higher than Prophet. Everybody says it is the Noor of Ali which is the higher. Because the Noor is always same. So Noor in Maulana Imran, Noor in Maulana Ali, Noor in Maulana Hussain has always been there. And therefore, I say, until we do not recognize the Imam, recognition of Imam is so important. If we will not understand in detail, we will always misunderstand the rankings and the higher understanding. Maulana Ali surely had Noor. How can a person be born in Khana-e-Kaaba? He was the child of Imam. He was Nurun Allah Noor. So yes, he had the Noor at the time of the birth, and he was waiting for the Natik to come and open up his eyes. So Maulana Ali's rank is higher? 100%. But remember, whenever we talk of higher, we think of body. We'll have to think in the terms of Noor. Think of Noor. Noor is always there. Noor is higher. It's the Noor of the Imam. We will have to think of functions. We will have to think of Noor as well as the functions of the Imam. In our cycle, this cycle, Ali is the Asas Imam, so the Noor will always be talked about in the name of Ali. In the time of Musa, Asas was Harun. So all the Imam during that cycle were talked about as if Harun. So this line of questioning is related to recognition of Imam. Those who are interested in this line of questioning, I would request them to text one of us and we can arrange some separate classes for you guys, because this requires hard work, studies, homework, classwork. If we are able to invest this time and energy, then only we can grow in that line, in that direction. Otherwise, our topic today is paradise and hell. And I hope that we are understanding. And I like one of the comment here that is Azazil Hasad. So Azazil is a personality, it's the name, but he behaved in a lower instinctual ways. He did Hasad, which is not a behavior of a human who has the rational soul. It is not a characteristic of Momin to be na farman bardar because of the negative emotions you feel. And there is another comment which I see, that if you see negative vibes, negative people around you, to protect you, get away from those people, distance yourself. Be in the company of lovers of Imam, seekers, so you can protect your good deeds, protect your soul and protect your heart and your thoughts. Because most of the sins are done in our thoughts. So protect your thoughts, because thinking right now that somebody is negative and they are giving me negative vibes is actually, very humbly, I say that we are judging them. In order to protect ourselves, if we feel that way, we simply not judge them but distance ourselves from those company. Say goodbye to those people who give you negative energy, negative vibes, because they'll keep you in that cycle of thought of negativity. Protect yourself. Get away from them. Any question from the topic today?
Thank you, Mimi Saibay, Ali Madad.
Mola Ali Madad.
Sleep na ako.
Shukran Mola. Thank you so much. Yali Madad. Yali Madad.
Ali Madad. Ali Madad.
Mola Ali Madad. Mola Ali Madad.